field of insurance and risk management. After a successful career with major insurers in California, Connecticut, Minnesota, and Illinois, he returned here to Utah to found a highly successful Utah-based property casualty insurance company, where he served as their company president for 8 years. He also served as president of Utah Claims Managers Council. Jeff is an alumni graduate of UVU. Woo. In 1984. Yeah. It was actually Utah Technical College back then, so we were just a lot. Where he was active in student government, wrote for the school newspaper, and participated in several campus clubs. He then obtained a BS in organizational communication from the University of Utah and an MBA from the North Central near Chicago, Illinois. Jeff's wife Carrie is from Whittier, California, and they are the parents of 3 great teenagers and a rambunctious
Bichon Frise. It's a dog.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody know what a Bichon Frise is? Frise? All right. Yes.
Yeah, a little puppy. Jeff enjoys skiing, hiking, and exploring every inch of Utah. So welcome Jeff Taylor, everyone.
That's okay. It's a pretty good obituary. I like that. It is so great to be here with you guys. Let's try that again. There we go. It's Bichon Frise, for those that know. Is that the right way to say it? Bichon Frise? Okay. Hello, hello, hello. I'll just keep talking. Thank you for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here with you. My name is Jeff Taylor, and it's going to be nice to spend the next 6 hours with you. So make sure your seats... She thought it was true. She's like, 6 hours with this guy. Oh, no, what are we going to do? Now, we're going to be with you for just about an hour. I'd like to thank Dr. Jackson for inviting Scott Wood and myself here today. I tell you guys, this is an exciting, exciting program. I cannot believe how powerful this Center for the Advancement of Leadership is. When I was going to school here, back then it was called Utah Tech. I mean, we didn't have the Sorensen Center, we didn't have the engineering building. They had an institute and a building over here. I don't think we had a logo, and I don't think we had a mascot. And if we did, it would have been a monkey wrench, and the logo would have been measure twice, cut once. You know, because it really was. It was a trade school. And then they opened a business school, and the business school was such a blast to be involved with. I got involved with some of the business programs. Back then, about the only thing they had was DECA at the college level. But we had an awesome DECA program here. Competed nationals, won a bunch of gold medals, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But to see this program that you guys are involved in now is so, so impressive. You know what? Stick with it. I've been in industry for about 20 years, hiring people like you out of college to come and work for the companies that I've worked for. And I'll tell you, impressed with some of them, not so impressed with some of them, but one of the things that they lacked was leadership. And so the opportunity to get involved in this program and learn some of these principles, I guarantee it's going to make you a better person out in the workplace, whether that's profit, not-for-profit, or it's just at home. So I congratulate you for doing this. This is really, really awesome. This is probably one of the best groups of college students that I've had an opportunity to ever speak to. And let me tell you, I feel just a little bit like the quarterback at a college. Story goes something like this. The college was competing for the national championship, but their star quarterback was failing 2 subjects and thereby was ineligible to play in the big game on Saturday. The 2 subjects that he was failing was logic. They don't take logic so much anymore. It's kind of an argumentation, a theory. He was failing logic and mathematics. So the groups got together, the administration, all the coaches had a big huddle up, and they said, oh, you know, what are we going to do? Quarterback's failing these 2 courses. We have got to get him through one of these courses to make him eligible. So they brought in a Jesuit professor to sit down and to try and be his personal tutor. They thought they'd get some divine, you know, guidance from above. So they bring the professor, and he sits down with the quarterback, and he says, son, we've got to win the national championship. You're flunking these 2 courses, logic and mathematics. We know you can't get through logic, so we're going to try and get you through mathematics. Okay? So Carter, yeah, okay, great. So he says, okay, so here's the problem. There are 3 flies on the kitchen table. 2 flies fly away. How many flies are there on the kitchen table? And the quarterback grabs his head real hard, thinks about it for a while, and he says, well, there's none, there's 0. The professor says, now take your time, son. Take your time. There's 3 flies on the kitchen table. 2 flies fly away. How many does that leave on the kitchen table? Quarterback, just this time, he's just sweating. He thinks about it. None. The professor says, glory be to God. He says, how can you be so stupid? 3 flies, take away 2 flies. How many flies are on the kitchen table? And the quarterback thinks about it, and he says, but professor, he says, if 2 of the flies fly away, wouldn't the other fly away too? Professor thinks about it for a second. He says, glory be to God. You've failed mathematics, but you've passed logic. You can play in Saturday's game. So somebody will do anything to win, won't they? You know, guys, today, if Scott and I don't give you any mathematics, if we don't give you any formulas, if we don't give you any mechanisms or metrics or mathematics, hopefully Scott and I can appeal to some of the logic of leadership. And I've kind of labeled my presentation today just lessons from the trench. I've been out there knocking myself against the wall and having some successes and some failures for 20 years in the insurance industry. And I just want to share with you a couple of ideas, a couple of principles and concepts that I've learned that if I can pass on to you, and some of you may have mastered these, and some of you may be working on them, okay? But here's a principle. We need to be reminded more than we need to be informed. I'm not sure there's anything I can say today that's really going to inform you on something new. Now, Scott over here might. I'll introduce Scott in a minute. He's got something really neat that we want to show to you. But we need to be reminded more than we need to be informed. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead. We've got about 3 principles we're going to try and cover today. If we run out of time, we'll get to 2 principles, but let's see where we go. What I'd like everybody to do is a little exercise here. I know you've got a bunch of laptop computers out here, but what I'd like you to do is just to find a partner, somebody sitting next to you. There's 3 here. Maybe you could hook up with one of them. And we're going to do 2 little exercises. The first time, I want you to walk up to this person or turn to them or stand up, anything that you want to do, and I want you to go ahead and greet them as if they're really not very important. So quickly pick somebody, and let's see you stand up and introduce yourself as if it's not very important. Okay, on your marks, get set, go. Okay, that's pretty good. That was pretty good. In fact, you were actually a little bit more excited than I thought you were going to be. Now what I want you to do is to do the same thing with the same person, but I want you to go ahead and to greet them as if they are a long-lost friend. No groping, okay? Go ahead. Let's do this one. Stand up and do this one. Find somebody and... Okay, that was very good. You can sit down now. You know, I think I saw just a little bit of groping going on there. I saw people sitting on laps, but I commend you for it. I thought that was very, very nice. Somebody share with me what you learned from this. Why do you suppose I've asked you to do this little activity? What's in this? Somebody just give me an idea of what's in this. What do you learn from this? Unimportant versus important. Yes?
How you treat people that are not important to you, it shows your character.
Okay. No, that's not the answer, but no, that's absolutely one of the answers. Yes, ma'am.
How about the fact that just things that aren't as important to you kind of just sideswipe, you don't really pay much attention. Things that really are there, like even in, like within your heart, you make sure you put a bigger effort in.
Ooh, nice.
Respect to who you care about.
Say that louder.
Respect to who you care about.
Some respect to who you care about. Anything else? Anything there? Yes.
Your attitude determines your actions.
It's huge. It's huge. Was there both verbal and nonverbal going on in that? You guys have heard a lot about verbal and nonverbal. We're going to talk just a little bit about that. This is based on a principle, and it goes like this. Any mass comm or communication majors in here? A couple of you. I'll bet you've heard this like 10 times. You probably even know who this guy is. This Waltzowitz fellow. One cannot not communicate. One cannot not communicate. Somebody give me an idea. What does that mean? What does that mean?
You're always communicating non-verbally.
You're always communicating, verbally or non-verbally. Yes.
Yeah, like you don't just communicate with words, but also how you sit or how you're standing around that person. You're always sending out a message.
You're always sending some kind of a message, whether you want to or not. I want somebody to come up and actually try and stand in front of the room and not communicate. And for doing this, you actually get to go to the colander of earthly delights and desires and reach in there and take something out. So, okay, you were quick. Woo, I like that. Come on up here. We're going to stand her right here, and we're going to see if she can. You stand right there. Okay. Let's look. Everybody look at her. What's she communicating? She doesn't want to be here. What else? Robotic? What else? Okay. Go to the colander. Go to the colander. And along with the colander, she also gets a Jamba Juice card because she was the first one to get up here. So, all right. Come on up. You try it. Come on. Yeah, come on. Come on up here. Okay. She's got a nice. She thinks she cannot communicate. What's she communicating? She's scared. She's shy. She's smart. She thinks she's going to get away with something. But, sir, you're still communicating something. Go ahead and go to the colander. All right. But there's really important stuff in here, by the way. I picked these up at trade shows. Really, really important. I don't even know what's in these boxes. It's kind of scary. So one cannot not communicate. Is there anybody that wants to dispute that? Is there anybody that believes that that's the case? What if you're dead here in the middle of the aisle and you're in a coffin and it's open? What are you communicating? You're dead. You're dead. You know, what else?
Well, you're dead and you're in the coffin and stuff there. You want people to see you when you're dead.
Yeah, maybe you want somebody to honor you. Okay. So not only can one not communicate, leaders are one. Cannot not communicate. And in the position that you're in companies, nonprofit or at home, you constantly are sending out messages. My dear wife sends out a message just by sitting there that she's mad. She just has one of those jaws. I should have brought a picture of her and I should have put it up there and said, what's she communicating? People go up to her and they say, are you okay? Are you mad? She's like, no, I'm happy. I'm whistling. I'm singing. We're always communicating things, and as leaders, we've got to be so very, very careful. You've got to decide what it is you want to communicate and communicate it. Now, we're going to try one more quick exercise. I'm not sure we have time for this. Yeah, we can try. We're going to play show and tell. Okay. Volunteers. Whoa! We got to get a guy here. Come here. Hey, you on the back. Come on. All right. What's your name?
Whitney,
Whitney, and your major?
elementary education.
Woohoo! Whitney?
Ian.
Ian and? Phil, what's yours?
Behavioral science.
Behave science?
Counting.
Okay. What I want you to do here is I'm going to give you each a slip of paper. This is a show and tell slip. I want them to show an attitude or a behavior or an action and then tell something that goes along with that, and we're going to see what kind of messages we get. Let's start with you, Ian.
Oh, that's really, I'm Ian.
Or Ian, you start.
Oh.
No, you start.
You want to start?
So I'm supposed to show this, but say this.
Exactly.
Oh, that's intense.
Okay, that's a little intense. Let's see.
I'm happy to meet you.
Okay. Was there any credibility there? I'm happy to meet you. Yeah, there's just not any credibility there. Let's try another show and tell. Oh, you know, first that. Now do it sincerely. Now.
I'm happy to meet you.
Okay, that was better. That was good. Let's give him a hand. Okay. Let's go to Ian now.
Wait, just to everyone?
Yeah.
Or you?
Yeah, anybody.
I'll get back to you with that.
I'll get back to you with that. Did you believe him? Sometimes it's like this. I'll get back to you with that. Yeah, right. Credibility out the window. No way. Okay, thank you. Let's try yours. Wait, just a minute. Before that, now I want you to add credibility to that. I want you to show and tell the same thing.
Oh, I'll get back with you with that.
That's a little better. I think you get. Come on, one more time.
I'll get back with you.
Or maybe you haven't added a word. I promise I'll get back with you with that. Yeah, good job. Okay, here's the last one.
I really don't love you.
Ooh. Should we ask her to show that she really does? Matchmaker, make me a match. All right, guys, what we wanted to do here is, again, the verbal and the nonverbal. You can say something, and you can show something, and there can be this massive gap. As a leader, if you say one thing, but you're showing another thing, your credibility just goes out the window. It just doesn't work. So the cauldron of pleasures and delights. Okay, you guys go for it. Go get your Jamba after. There you go. Ooh, I don't know. There's something scary in that one. I probably should have. Oh, she got a piggy bank.
That's pretty
All right,
cool.
thank you for your help. That is fantastic. Go get a Jamba. What's your favorite Jamba? Razzmatazz?
Banana berry.
Banana Bear, Orange Dream Machine. Whew. Those are really, really good. Okay, let's see. Let's move on here. So leaders are always communicating something. So you got to be careful what you communicate. Here's the mathematics I told you that I wouldn't give you. We're using one mathematics thing. It's a greater or less than sign, okay? What you show is very often greater than what you tell. That's true, isn't it? You can say one thing and you can show something different, and the credibility is out the window. Now here's karma. If you can show the behaviors and tell congruent behaviors, then you are in the land of karma. You can't do it every time, but you can do it some of the time. Quick principle, guys, as leaders, be careful what you're communicating, because you're going to communicate something. Make sure you do it right, okay? Fantastic. You know, we're going to, let's go to leadership principle number 2. I'd like to introduce Scott Wood. I was out in California with Scott. Scott's with IFI Training. It's a local company that trains major companies all around the country on all kinds of aspects of business. Scott is one of the better trainers I've ever seen. We're out in Palmdale, California about 2 months ago. And I'll tell you, I'm very, very impressed. But let's put our hands together for Scott Wood with IFI Training.
I'm really excited to be here. This is a really good opportunity for me to kind of showcase what we do, and it's we've got some really important principles to talk about. What did I just communicate? Just so you know, 80% of what you believe is not what you say. So that goes back to this show plus tell. If there's incongruence, if I say something but I get a different body language, you're going to believe the body language every single time. Really important. As Jeff mentioned, I am with IFI Training. We've actually been training in the corporate world for about 15 years. My wife started the company. Yes, I work for my wife. How many of you are married? Wow. Okay. I know Jeff is, because live just down the street from Jeff. A lot of times when I say I work for my wife, all guys say they work for their wives, because that's kind of true. Mine's a little more literal than most. Mine's 24/7. So adds a whole new dimension to the term performance evaluation, but I won't get into that right now. She started the company in 1995. I came to work for him in 1998. So for 12 years, I've been teaching for IFI Training. As Jeff mentioned, we do work with large aerospace companies, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, government agencies, the Army. I've got training coming up in the Army in a couple of weeks. Next week, I'll be in Florida teaching these same principles to an organization that can't tell me what they do or who they sell to or who the competition is, because it's too secret for me to know. Kind of an interesting organization. If you want to take notes, this is something called the 5-wave principle. Now, I know a lot of you, when you get into the business environment, you've already seen this actually dealing with family, but it's kind of hyperextended when you get into a business environment where you're going to be dealing with people from different waves. We call this the 5-wave theory. Understand that the dates that we have up here, the 4000, BC, 1440, 80, 1960, 1990, those are loose dates, meaning it's not an exact science. Some people think of this or try and associate waves with generations. Some of you maybe have talked about generations in classes, where you talk about baby boomers and Gen X, Gen Y, millennials. This isn't exactly like that because it's not age-related. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in just a minute. First wave, we call it the manual labor wave. If you want to take notes, there's some information on manual labor wave. So that the dates on that, 4000 BC, 1440 AD. Everything was manual. If you had work to do, you had to do it with your hands. Very familial. The work structure was the same as the social structure. That was a family. That's why parents had lots of kids, big families. That was the workforce. Somebody tell me why I've got 5 kids and I cannot get a clean kitchen. Obviously, it's because we're not in this wave. Very small social circles. How did we communicate in this wave? What was the method? Face-to-face, verbal. Now, we've always had one other form of communication, although not as prevalent. What else have we always had? How? How correspondence? Letters. We've always had documents. Whether it was written on stone tablets or papyrus or something, we've always had documents. Although, obviously, face-to-face a lot more prevalent. Some people not even trained to read until much later on. Okay, wave 2, the dates on this, why would we start the mechanization wave with the date 1440? What was significant in 1440? The Gutenberg printing press. Gutenberg got really sick and tired of hand copying Bibles, and he said, screw this, we're going to develop some faster way. He probably didn't say that exactly, but came up with a Gutenberg printing press. And incidentally, that single piece of technology was the standard for printing presses until well into the 1900s. 500 years, we had one machine. Consider how fast we're turning over technology now. Method of communication. Still had face-to-face here. Some people liken the tail end of this, Industrial Revolution, obviously. You had the assembly lines, the white-collar, blue-collar mentality. Who wrote documents in the second wave? Who wrote them? The white-collars or the blue-collars? White-collars. Who made the presentations? No, still the white-collars. In fact, did the blue-collars have any communication with upper management? So communication in this environment, some of you will go to work for second-wave organizations. We still work with second-wave organizations. In those situations, communication flows top-down. And what form of communication did we add to face-to-face? Now we have more documents. What did we add? Telephone. Yeah. So now we've got telephone, distance communication, but it's still pretty personal, right? Because you're hearing a voice. Obviously, part of this wave, too, is distance becomes more significant. You all know what's on the back of the Utah State Quarter? I asked the question. I give prizes in other states. Nobody knows. They say, "What is that part of the United States?" Yeah. Anybody know what's on the back of the Utah State Quarter?
The golden spike.
The Golden Spike, yeah, Promontory Point. First time a continent was connected with a railway, ever. Promontory Point. So that's our claim to fame. Wave 3, so this goes on from 1440 to 1960. 1960, we start the electronic wave. Now, we have that date because 1958, we had the first transistor. 1961, the first silicon chip. So straddling that, 1960 to 1990, this electronic wave. How did life change? How did communication change? What was the method that we added? Email, faxing, paging, using electronics to communicate, mass communication. Questions on any of those things, on electronics? Now understand too, we're also shifting the power base. Back here in wave 2, who had the power? White collars, the executives. Those are either owners or people who are educated. Part of wave 3 is more education, and companies now realize, hey, you know what? This David guy over here, he's actually pretty smart. Let's find out what he thinks. And so they put him on a committee, and he started sending communication up to management. So now a lot of the training that we do is with what you would consider in the olden days blue collar, but people who've been in companies for only a couple of years, and they're now making presentations or sending documents to executives and management. So now we got communication flowing both ways. Wave 4, we call the wave of the individual. That's where we're at today. We are in wave 4, 1990. We're already seeing signs of wave 5. This wave 4 was about giving you, whatever station you are, however long you've been in a company, you now have all the power. Do you believe that? Do you know what the number one problem in corporate America is? How long? Say it loud. Communication is causing some very serious problems. It's the number one reason why you're hired. Communication skills, number one. But that's causing a lot of problems. But what are companies really struggling to do today? Yes?
Have executives and leaders making the decisions.
Now, you are as important in making decisions as they are. Now, how long did somebody work for a company back in wave 2?
Forever.
Did your parents work, 30, 40 years? Same company? How long are you going to work for the first company you go to work for? Year? 18 months? See, do you know what the average in corporate America is? 3 years. It's shrinking all the time. So one of the biggest challenges in all organizations is retention. They've got to retain who? You. Fourth wavers. In a second wave environment, if a person ran into a problem with their boss, if they hated their boss, had some personality conflicts, what do they do? Dealt with it. Suck it up. What do fourth wavers do when they run into problems with their bosses? 3 favorite words? I quit is not 3, but good guess, good guess. Monster.com. And then I'm out of here. It's a huge problem with wave 4. Now, what method of communication are wave 4 people employing? How do you communicate? Internet. What else? Text. How many of you actually text more than you talk on your phone? By raise of hands. Fourth wave. Fourth wave. Now, incidentally, are there any students in here that don't think you're a fourth waver? Because I know a lot of, in fact, my oldest daughter, who's 22, is more second wave than I am. It's not about age. I mean, typically, you look at Jeff, and yeah, he's got a lot of gray hair, and yes, he's older than the hills. Got to be second wave, right? I'm kidding. He's not. I'm a third waver, solid third waver. meaning that I'm very comfortable with email, and that's my chosen method of communication. I text, but that's not my first choice. I'm still more of a personal communicator. Understand this. This is about communication patterns, understanding that what fourth waivers do, your communication patterns, do not fit when you're communicating with leadership or management in the companies you go to work for. Do you understand that? Okay. For example, just go back, make a couple notes. Second waivers, they prefer to communicate face-to-face or phone. That's their method. You're not going to solve a problem with a second waiver by texting them. Ain't going to happen. You can try it. Good luck with that. So you're going to have to get off your butt, walk into their office, and have a conversation. Now, I know that's painful sometimes, but that's the only way to communicate effectively with second waivers. These people love detail, thrive on it. Got to have it. They're not making a decision without it. How are fourth waivers on detail? You're bottom liners, right? You just text your 3-word, let's do this. Second waivers are going, no, I got to have backup. I got to have references. Give me more information. Huge problem, because your bottom liners, these second waivers, they want it all. They want everything. And these are also process people. A lot of the processes you're going to get frustrated with when you get into corporations, those processes were created by second waivers. We know that's frustrating. If they're smart, they'll ask you fourth waivers to come up with faster, better, smarter processes. You guys think outside the box. Second waivers are famous for saying, if you're ever in a meeting with somebody and they say, that's not how we do things around here, do this. That's your sign. For second waivers, do this. Of course, if they see you and they say, what's that? Say it's V for victory. But you'll know it's actually second wave. Third waivers, these guys are emailaholics. They'll try and do everything with email. Can you reach a group consensus opinion with email? No. But they'll try. It'll go around the horn, they'll never get it. So some email's not it for a lot of situations, but they'll try. These people are what we also call tweeners. They see both sides of the equation. They see the need for detail, but they just as soon have it fast. If you're a third waiver, one of the things you've got to do in these corporate situations is mediate. You've got to try and solve the problems between the fourth and the second waivers. Then, of course, fourth waivers, no detail, very fast, think outside the box. So what's the strongest team? If you're a manager, if you're putting together a team, who do you want?
Sorry, you said that there's a fifth wave starting to
It's coming.
in.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
Fifth wave is called integration. We are seeing signs of it. Although right now we're still very solid in the fourth wave. Does any of you have a car that talks to your house? No? They're designing them. And in fact, some car companies are coming pretty close. An example of integration, and integration is linking our systems, your home office system with a workstation. A car in the fifth wave world, when you're driving home at 4:30 p.m., as soon as you hit 2 miles from your house, if the ambient air temperature is below 52 degrees, the heat goes on in your house automatically. You don't touch a button, you don't say a word, it just happens. Home operating systems, you've heard about them. When my 18-year-old daughter comes home at night, I get a text on my BlackBerry that my daughter's home. The house generates that communication. That's helpful, but what I really want to know is when she goes out of the house, that would be more helpful. That's integration. We're connecting the people and systems. Any Star Trek fans? I know that's probably too old for you. Oh, a few. Good. Live long and prosper. So who are the epitome of integration as far as a race? The Borg. Yeah, the Borg. The collective. That's what this is about. And incidentally, on the way home from work, your car will just take over and it'll turn into Smith's, and your car will say, please buy 2 gallons of milk, because the fridge told your car you're out of milk. Yeah, it's happening. Great movie on fifth wave, if you want to see it, is Minority Report with Tom Cruise. Walks into the Gap, and this voice says, welcome back. Would you like a pair of chinos to go with that last shirt you bought? Okay, that's integration. Kind of scary because everybody knows everything. I think you act.
Well, I just saw a commercial for the new iPhone will be able to control, like, turning the lights off in your house. Is that more along the line?
Getting there, yeah. Yeah. More of this, and incidentally, a lot of the companies we work with, like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, are developing some of these technologies where it'll recognize the patterns too, and when you walk in the house, lights will go on just because the house senses your iPhone. You won't have to touch anything when it's truly integrated. So we're getting there. So back to the question. If I'm putting together a team, who do I want on my team? All of them. Second waivers, good at interpersonal communication, pretty good at dealing with bad news and that kind of stuff. Fourth waivers, that's kind of a weakness for fourth waivers, right? I was driving back from Palmdale a few months ago and heard, just on the radio, they said, you know, our 14% of people now think it's okay to break up with your partner via text or email. You're kidding me, right? And they cited breakupbutler.com, literally a website. Don't write that down, or if you do, that's okay. Breakupbutler.com. You can literally, I don't have to break up. I can have somebody else break up for me. How's that for? Okay, that's, yeah. I don't agree with that, but hey, that's okay. But if you're putting together a team, just understand that you are going to be faced with some serious communication challenges because you get into the work environment. You've already seen this maybe with family. One of the takeaways is, what do you fourth waivers need to learn how to do? What's your action item? Say that again, loud. Speak to people, learn how to communicate verbally. What else?
If someone's in a different way than you, you need to use their form of communication.
Oh, sweet. See, that's prizeworthy. Congratulations.
I've already taken this course. Should I know the answer?
You can give it to somebody else. That's okay. You've got to communicate effectively with you've got to adjust what you're doing to meet their needs. That's the only way to succeed. Yes?
I'm in week 4, like the individual one.
Okay.
Is that where you're kind of just decide yourself, or do you also help out with the team? Because I kind of look like you're just individually making decisions, moving that I want to come along with, because I don't have a choice.
I would say a person that has good skills in the fourth way, good interpersonal skills, recognizes that they've got to have everybody kind of jump on board, and you've got good persuasion skills. The problem comes when you plant your feet and say, no, it's got to be my way or the highway. And you'll get into some mentorship programs. Mentoring is a great thing, but you know what? The second waivers, the mentors, can actually learn more from the mentees, the fourth waivers. It's got to be a two-way thing. So if you ever get into companies and it's you got a second waiver that says, I'm going to impart of you my vast wisdom and knowledge. They can learn more from you than you can from them. Now, yeah, be open to it because you will learn how to function in a kind of political world. Second waivers, much more political. Fourth waivers, show them your cards. Second waivers, knowledge is power, and they'll try and use that against you. Sometimes they want to protect their knowledge. Fourth waivers, just share it. That's one of the strengths that you have. The multitasking, making use of smaller pieces of time, very small blocks of time, that's a fourth wave gift. You'll have to teach that to the second waivers because they're used to the much larger and they hate the interruptions. Other thoughts or questions just about this concept of waves? Understand that you're going to be sending documents to multi-waved professionals. You may want to think about the document to a multi-waved audience. How is that organized? Can it work? Can you have one document that goes to second, third, fourth waivers that works in a business environment? How? What's it look like? What?
Well, I would do have certain points for the third, fourth waivers, so they can see exactly what the points are and give details that aren't bullet
Points? So start it with mains, kind of a summary, bullet points, low level of detail, and then you work down into maybe a higher level of detail so that they can go down as far as they want. References, links to reference information if they want more. You're going to have to think about this. What do second, third, and fourth waivers want out of a presentation? It's different. Second waivers want something different than fourth waivers. When you're giving presentations, you're going to have to adapt to different audiences. If you do, that your communication, and let me just tell you, you are 100%, this gentleman right back here, communication, if you're good at communicating with all three waves, you will vault to leadership in incredible amounts of time. The people that I see promoted at all organizations are usually second waivers that can communicate with third and fourth waivers, or fourth waivers that can communicate with second and third waivers. It's communication. Problem is when you get stuck in that rut and all you want to do is email, or all you want to do is phone calls, or all you want to do is text. That's where we run into problems. Any other questions, comments? Yes?
So would you say that this might be like a wave 2 type of platform, whereas you talking would be more a wave 3, and so if you're able to incorporate different ones, you can get to different.
In fact, in this kind of a setting, there's one thing that works for all three waves. Guesses? Both Jeff and I have tried to do it more than what you might see from normal speakers. Does that give you a hint? Audience involvement. Interaction. That is the common denominator for all three waves. Presenting to, no. That may work for a second waiver. It certainly doesn't work for third and fourth waivers. PowerPoint, fourth waiver's okay with it. Second waivers don't need it. The common denominator, interaction, involvement. That's what you got to do with your presentations. Okay. Great discussion. Thank you very much. We'll turn time back over to Jeff for the last principle.
Guys, this is huge because you're going to be out there in whatever business, nonprofit, whatever it is, church group, whatever it is. If you as a leader know that one cannot not communicate, and then you can learn to communicate with these various waves, you're the leaders. You're the one that's going to get chosen. They're going to say, Cindy, she can communicate with second, third, and fourth, and maybe fifth waivers. This is huge. Hey, Scott, yes. What was that, when we were out at Lockheed, what was that turnover rate that was going to happen there? Weren't they going to lose
55% of their 9,000, that's just at that one location. That division has about 35,000 employees. 55% of those will leave in the next 5 years.
Talk about a leadership vacuum, folks. Huge opportunities out there in companies for people that can communicate, and especially intergenerational. Now, it's going to be really easy for some of you to say, he or she's kind of old. They're a second generation. We don't really need to give them a whole lot of time because, most of our employers are fourth generation. Those second generations, they have massive amounts of skill, massive contacts, and massive knowledge that if you can figure out a way to integrate, you will be the leaders. Huge, 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 huge concept. Thank you, Scott. Let's see, where's my note here? Okay, final principle. And again, these are kind of soft principles. We're not giving you a lot of mathematics here. Here's the next principle. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, there's leadership principle number 3. Everybody got it? Okay? Okay, we can end now. Let's go home. Neguia woi by Rawi. Does anybody even want to take a chance for the cauldron of earthly delights? You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it. One of the greatest industrialists of our time, probably a second waiver, maybe even a second waiver, said this. And one of the words in here is in this. I want to see if this helps anybody figure. You've probably seen this. Somebody knows this. You can do anything if you have blank. Blank is the yeast that makes your hopes rise to the stars. Any wags? Well, try. Get up here. Get up here. It's enthusiasm. Come, you want to grab something? Yeah, go get you an orange dream machine. Hey, she got a Hawaiian dancer. All right. You can stick that in your car, and as you drive around, it'll wiggle back and forth. So here we go. I want somebody for a trip to the Cauldron of Earthly Desires to stand up and read this with some enthusiasm. Okay, ooh, you're quick. Good enthusiasm, by the way. Just stand up there and recite that.
Okay, you can do anything if you have enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the yeast that makes your hopes rise to the stars. Enthusiasm is the sparkle in your eye. It is the swing in your gait, the grip of your hand, the irresistible surge of your will and your energy to execute your ideas. Enthusiasts are fighters. They have fortitude. They have staying qualities. Enthusiasm is at the bottom of all progress. With it, there is accomplishment. Without it, there are only alibis.
Do you think he thought enthusiasm? Oh, by the way, come on. Woo! Woo! The Cauldron of Earthly Desires.
Thank you.
Very good. Enjoy. Thank you. That was very nicely done. You know, this is, Henry Ford had this like blown up and stuck on his fireplace. Can you imagine one athlete that competed in the Olympics that didn't have some enthusiasm? Guys, leaders have enthusiasm. Without it, things kind of meander along. With it, you can accomplish great things. Anybody want to take a whack at that first phrase? Okay.
No goal was ever accomplished without enthusiasm.
Okay, it's close, but it's not quite there.
Never go without enthusiasm again.
Never go without enthusiasm again. Not quite. You got it. We'll come back. Hold tight. Okay, hold it. She's first. Okay, you go first. You go first. Okay.
Nothing great was ever accomplished without
Woohoo! Come on up. All right. For a bonus, do you know what this is? Oh, fantastic! You know what? You don't get the cauldron, but you get one of these. All right. Hey, fantastic. You go to the Cauldron of Earthly Delights and pick out something, and then go get a razzmatazz. Good job. Good job. Guys, it's this thing of enthusiasm. Now, we don't have enough time here to teach you how to get enthusiasm, but here is a pretty good definition. It's not the best. It's okay. It's out of one of the dictionaries. Great excitement for or interest in a subject or a cause. Some of the kind of synonyms are ardor, fervor, fire, passion, or zeal. Now, I'm just going to share with you one little definition that I think is very, very important. If you break the word down just a little bit, who knows what this is? A Greek word, by the way. It first appeared in the English language in 1605, and it was generally used towards sort of a religious fervor. The word has developed over time, but who knows what the en in the word enthusiasm kind of means? Yes, it's within, inside or within. Absolutely. Who knows what this thus comes from? Any guesses? Thus. How about theos? Say it again.
God.
Yeah, it's God or it's deity. And then we've just got a noun. Yes?
God within us.
God or deity within us. Nothing great was ever accomplished or achieved without a little bit of enthusiasm. So as leaders, that's one of the principles that you want to add to your life. Now, there's all kinds of really good books out there that talk a little bit about it. I read this one just the other night. It's called The Energy Bus by John Gordon. Kind of a fun tell. If you guys like to read, The Energy Bus is kind of a kick. Take a look at that. We don't have the time or the opportunity tonight to go deep into that, but remember that enthusiasm in leadership is absolutely critical. And there's the answer. You guys got it. Nothing great was ever accomplished without enthusiasm. Let me turn this off. In conclusion, one cannot not communicate. A leader cannot not communicate, so be careful. Decide what you want to communicate. Ask somebody before you communicate it how you're communicating it. As leaders, that's critical. The ability to integrate these multi-generational waves. You guys are going to be leaders that are better than most because you now understand that. Now figure out how to integrate it. Have some gall darn enthusiasm. And how do you get that? You're going to kind of have to figure that out. You're going to have to read some books. You're going to have to study some materials. Some of you already have it. The rest of you are going to get it. I'm going to end with just a little poem. My wife's from Whittier, California. Has anybody ever been to Whittier, California? It's named after a guy named John Greenleaf Whittier. He was a great American poet. One of his most famous poems is called Maud Muller. Has anybody ever heard the poem Maud Muller? Have you? Fantastic, one of you have. I'm not going to read it to you because we don't have time. I would probably put you all to sleep, but I'm going to tell you just a little bit about it, okay? Basically, this is back in probably the 1800s, 1700s, and there's a woman, a girl, and her name is Maud Muller, and she's out working in the field. She's a generation one. She's out there raking the hay. And as she's raking the hay, along comes a man on a horse, and he is a young lawyer. And he stops and he talks to her and asks her for a drink of water, and so she takes a cup and takes it from the well and gives it to him, and they're sharing small talk. And she's looking up at him and saying, oh, what a wonderful husband he would make. And he is looking down at her, and he's saying, simple beauty. Oh, this woman is just amazing. After a couple of minutes of small talk, he heads off on his way, she heads off on her way. And then the poem breaks up for a couple of years, and he marries a woman who is vain and seeks after riches and power. And she marries a man, kind of lives the country life, maybe isn't completely fulfilled. And each of them are separately musing and thinking about back on this moment when the man met the woman in this field. And they're wondering about each other. They're wondering what it would have happened if he had married Maud Muller, and she had married him. And then there's a phrase. Let me see if I can find my paper on that. I was actually going to read the last line to you, but I don't see it. But this is how the poem ends. As they sit there and think about what could have been. Of all the sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest of all are these. It could have been. You are leaders that are being endowed with principles and education that will allow you to take advantage of opportunities that you will see, and a little voice in your head or in your heart will say, I ought to do that. I ought to get on that committee. I ought to invite myself into that situation. I ought to extend myself. I ought to show some enthusiasm. I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to ask to be on that work group. Because those are the people that are taking advantage of it. I don't want anybody in this room to say, it could have been. I want you to all say, it was. God bless you, good students. Take care. Thank you for having us.